Game 1 is going to be between Liquid, Haypro, and Fnatic, MSI's TT1. Let's get things started.
Interesting choice for Team Liquid to throw Haypro out right off the bat. I don't really mind it. Generally, you want to throw out a feeler player, somebody who's pretty solid all around, not your go-to ace in the hole, but a solid player that's going to put up a threatening first game for the opposing team, hopefully take it, and also, just get an idea of what their team is capable of, who you're playing against in the first round. Somebody with solid all-around matchups as well.
And, Haypro's a guy, and every time I talk to someone related to Team Liquid, they're like, man, this guy just kills in practice games. He does so well, but I don't know if it's stage fright or whatever the case may be, but his tournament results have been a little lacking lately. I know from how cool of a guy he is to be around and stuff like that, it would be really nice to see him get some tournament wins as well.
He is a pretty cool guy.
Yeah.
Tough to get more than a few words out of him.
The very first time I met him, I was like, hey there, great to meet you. You did a great job. I forget what MLG it was, And he's like, hey. And kind of moved on. I was like, all right, well, whatever. But so we have Haypro here in the top right-hand corner.
Same exact thing happened to me. I saw him at last MLG, and I'd never introduced myself to him before. And I was like, hey there, what's up, man? Nice to meet you. And he was like, oh, hey, user. And I was like, yeah, man, hi, it's nice to meet you. And he was like, nice to meet you. And then I just walked off. Like, that was it. It was just done. I was like, all right, fair enough.
Haypro's opponent down here, the bottom left-hand corner from Team Fnatic, is TT1, already dropping down the pylon, down to the low ground, and he has actually been going after some very, very aggressive 17 Nexus plays over the past couple weeks.
And it's timed out perfectly.
It really is.
Even if the Zerg player goes 14 pool 13 gas or 14 pool 14 gas, the Lings arrive right at the time that cannon's going up, and generally TT1 will pull 5 to 6 probes in the event that he needs to block his ramp. The Nexus goes up, the probes end up getting Maynarded anyways, so it all works out beautifully. The timing on the Nexus first is great, but we do see a Forge first here, making us both look a little
Well, no, I'm not terribly surprised. I mean, that was very reactionary. He went in, he saw the pool was down first. He saw even the construction. It was a 14 pool into 15 hatch or something like that, as he didn't see gas coming down. So decides to respond with the Forge to deflect any links coming his way. And 1 or 2 cannons is going to do a fine job of doing that here on Daybreak.
Did he pylon block Haypro's natural, or is he... Okay, so he did. Haypro's going to have to wait for a couple lings to come out in order to deal with that. We do have the first 2 lings in production now, so Haypro's expansion here is actually going to be delayed quite a bit, and there we saw Haypro actually use the double extractor trick on 18 supply, which shows that he's very aware of his supply and what's going on with it. A lot of times you will see this extractor trick much earlier on the first Overlord. I'm always impressed when players use the extractor trick later on in the game.
Yeah, but this one was almost more of a necessity than anything else. I mean, otherwise he was going to have a lot of resources that were sitting around accumulating. Even now, once he finally gets this pylon
he
down,
took his third,
is he going to opt for a double expand? I believe he is, which is going to be a smart play. He saw the very early Nexus coming out of TT1. TT1 has been going to a lot of cannons recently to ensure that he holds this expansion, and if he overcommits those resources, expecting some sort of Roach Link play or something like that, the 3 base is going to work out really well for Haypro.
Yeah, we've also seen a lot of hardcore timing pushes out of TT1 recently. 7 gates, 8 gates.
Even 5 gates. I mean, he goes really quick to this fast Nexus, then just 5 gate attacks, anticipating some sort of quick expansions.
A lot of times he'll throw the +1 in there. He will scout that third. Nothing too crazy there. I figured TT1 would figure that out. There's not much that he can do about it right now. This might change his overall game strategy, though. Seeing that super fast third, maybe he has some sort of a build to help counter that, and he will lose that probe in the main of Haypro.
And that was when I would expect to see that very, very fast 5-gate play, and I would assume Cybercore is going to follow this, and double Zealots actually coming out. I don't know if there's going to be used for defense because he has not committed to that Cybercore quite yet, so maybe he just wants to pump a bunch of resources into Zealots for the time being. There, finally, we have a couple more pylons following, but still, Cybercore is nowhere to be found.
Yeah, I've seen Kiwikaki as well do this 2 gateway style where they'll get +1 and then they chrono out a ton of Zealots, and they attack very early on with +1 Zealots, like 8 to 10 of them, and it's not really there. Here comes the +1.
Exactly what you're talking about.
Is he going to chrono the gateways though? That's the okay. So yeah, he's chronoing both the gateways. So what he's going to do here is they try and get out, 8 to 10 Zealots, and then they do this timing push with +1. It looks like TT1's actually going to head out pretty early here with his first 4 Zealots and take the Xel'Naga. But I've been seeing this build, and TT1 and Kiwi play together all the time.
Sure.
And they know each other's builds, and this is what I've been seeing them do lately against Zerg. I haven't seen it work yet, though, so curious to see if it will.
We have a couple more units being rallied in, so TT1's going to follow this up, but Haypro is actually committing to quite a few lings. He already has 21 out on the field, more in construction. He's already getting Zerglings too, but that's not quite going to be done, so he's going to be forced to engage on creep if he wants the best possible surround. There we go, moves out, using the creep to his best advantage, so he's able to get the surround and force TT1 away, and all those Zealots actually fell down very, very quickly. Haypro didn't suffer that many losses, and looks like the rest of those Zealots being forced back home.
Yeah, those Zealots did absolutely nothing for TT1. He should have waited. I don't know why he went so early with the first 4 Zealots and before +1 was done. The whole purpose of this build, and I don't think he's very familiar with it, is to wait for 8 to 10 Zealots with +1, then you move out. Your Zealots would eat through this small pack of lings, but just giving him 4 Zealots like that and not waiting for the +1, I think is just off timing on his part.
Yeah, given the timing on the +1, it's like he anticipated Haypro to just be unprepared, and then he'd be able to establish his Zealots or get a little bit of damage done, and then the Zerglings would come in and attack when +1 had just finished up. But he just
super fast War Prism here out of TT1. How many gateways are we working off of right now?
He just put up 3 more, so I'm assuming 5. Let's see.
Is that a collapse? Whoa, Robo Bay, War Prism.
So this is actually turning into a little bit more predictable, like 5-gate Robo or 6-gate Robo off at 2 base. And I guess he just anticipates Haypro to be producing a ton of these lings. Now, +1 is finished, means that it gives the Zealots the ability to 2-shot lings. So this pack of lings is a lot less effective than it was just a short while ago. And TT1's going to put on a little pressure.
Yeah, he's going to actually break off with a few Zealots there. Not really sure what TT1 has in mind with this push. It's only 6 Zealots. Haypro's going to have more than enough time. Why is he engaging now?
That was weird.
He has a ton of lings in production. He just produced 14. Now he can actually flank and sandwich those Zealots from both sides, and it looks like that's exactly what he's going to do. And those will go down.
Even so, he's going to suffer a good bit of losses here as those Zealots are actually extremely powerful still. And Haypro, of course, not producing any economy during this time. He's putting up a bunch of roaches, but wow, most of those lings did go down. In fact, the vast majority did. Someone letting us know. Not sure. The War Prism was making its way up. Thank you, friendly spectator rally.
Oh, but the Queen's already in position to ward that off, so it's not even going to be able to get into a position to start warping units into the main, which is actually kind of a big deal. All that invested time and money in the War Prism is pretty much nil at this point.
Yeah, but at the very least, it keeps Haypro on his toes. It lets him know that if he tries to poke out and be a little overly aggressive, that some units could all of a sudden show up at his back door. For the time being, looks like TT was planning to put down a 3rd, but 1 ling by itself. No, the rest of the lings are being brought down to go ahead and force a cancel. There is 1 Colossus on the field, and TT was going to try and move back, but not before he is forced to cancel at least once.
Yep, so he does get that cancel over at the 3rd. And we see Haypro building his 4th right now, so going to try and take this into the late game. I don't think we're going to see a timing push from either player anytime soon here. Haypro is floating 1,600 minerals right now and 300 gas. He's also behind on supply considerably, and at this stage in the game versus a Protoss, that's not the situation you want to be in. I feel like Haypro should be well ahead on supply considering he took that super early 3rd. He could be droning up behind that, just macroing really hard at this stage in the game. But look at how many buildings and upgrades we have in production for Haypro.
That is precisely what I was thinking. And he only has 7 roaches on the field to combat 10 stalkers, multiple colossi, a bunch of zealots, and even some sentries to throw down some pesky force fields after that. So while he is going to have a great basis for producing units in a bit,
I think
Haypro is just going to be here to deflect this push.
I think Haypro just did a really poor job gauging the strength of TT1's army, and now TT1 just has free will on Haypro's side of the map. And he's going to be able to kill the fourth, maybe even the third here. We see Haypro scrambling to produce units, 11 roaches and 10 zerglings on the way right now.
I apologize, the Warp Prism, just what I was talking about before, came in. He did get a snipe on the spawning pool, so no more lings will be coming out.
Oh, wow.
The roaches are coming up now. TT1 has a ton of units, continuing to rally in more, just producing as many stalkers and colossi as he can as he tries to establish that third base once again.
Maybe in the future, Zerg players may have to get some air units to ward off those warp prisms, because continually using that warp prism to snipe tech buildings is actually a really good idea from TT1. He does have a couple sentries in mid here. Those are not going to get caught. And I'm surprised TT1 didn't press the issue more. He left a few units, it looks like. Are those pylons or units that TT1?
Let's see.
Okay,
Just a
so
pylon
offensive
for now.
pylon.
Yeah.
So TT1 is apparently happy with reducing Haypro to 3 base and didn't really want to force the issue. I think he actually had an opportunity to just outright win the game right there.
Yeah, certainly.
Just based on his army size.
And it looks like Haypro's, was in position to do a bunch of drops and even bring over all of his overlords. We may see one of those here in a second.
Oh, this
could
is not
actually
the
be very
opportune time
bad.
for a drop at all.
If he actually crosses these stalkers, he is going to be sorely disappointed, as these stalkers will rip him apart.
I mean, we could potentially get into a base race situation here, but I feel like TT1 is already 90% of the way across the map. He's knocking on Haypro's front door. Haypro's just getting situated for this drop, so he's going to be completely out of position. Yeah. And Haypro not turning around here. He's going with the drop 100%. Those overlords are still headed over towards TT1's main.
Oh, wow.
And TT1 warping in some units into Haypro's main. I feel like TT1 is going to come out way ahead here, and he is most definitely going to take this game, but I don't know. We'll have to see how it plays out.
Yeah, because Haypro is going to pull off this drop. There's not a lot of units here, so we are forced into a little bit of a base race situation, especially as Haypro looks like he may have enough units to deal with these 3 zealots that were just warped in and could kill that third. But like you said, I think the base race situation is going to greatly favor TT1.
Yeah.
That straight-up army is just too much to engage. All of the drones are dying. Only a few get away to maybe reestablish a structure somewhere on the map, but Haypro is losing his structures and fast.
Yeah. The production for TT1 will get taken out here, but anything Haypro builds is going to be directly in the line of fire from this point on, and now he's going to have to go down the ramp and deal with those cannons and force fields and an additional Colossus in the back working with those sentries. Great positioning right there from TT1. He also has a full wall at the front of his natural, so he's just preparing for this endgame situation. That is the Alamo for TT1. There is no Alamo for Haypro. He's just getting run over at this point, and he doesn't really have a fallback plan, so I don't know how he's going to recover from here.
He can pick up on all the overlords, but then he's forced to float over the cannons and sentries.
Look how many cannons are there.
So sometime he has to engage this mining base, and he does not have a hatchery on the map whenever this goes down. There's some structures. Now, that's actually just a few overlords sitting down at the bottom right, so nothing sitting there. Haypro is gathered up. It looks like he's going to try to drop down and make a favorable engagement, but TT1 already has 2 Colossi in place. Look at the photon cannon starting to rip through the overlords, and all these units are getting forced into a choke, and those Colossi are cleaning up.
Yep, and great micro from TT1 right there. Going to pull those Colossus away from the roaches a little bit. And last-ditch effort right here from Haypro. Has not built his base, so he just lost all hatcheries. All of his units will be revealed. And he's bringing everything back to his natural right now, but he's going to be able to hold that natural with what he had there.
Yeah, that is really, really good defense. TT1 not even going to lose that Colossus. Was down to so low health. And 1 supply, lone Zergling. It goes down, 0 supply, GG.